You're listening to Ideal Practice episode number 109. And today, guys, we're going to be talking about 7 stages of a client's journey with you and why you need a system for each one. So, stay tuned. Hi, I'm Wendy Pitts-Reeves, and with over 2 decades of experience in the private practice world, I've built my 6-figure business while learning a lot of lessons the hard way. This is the first podcast that shows you how to apply the principles of energy, alignment, and strategy to build a practice that is profit-centered, but people-forward. This is the Ideal Practice Podcast. Hey guys, and welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Ideal Practice. This is Wendy Pitts-Reeves, your host, and I'm really excited about talking with you today because what I'm going to share with you today I think could be really, really helpful because I think this is a way of thinking in your practice that we don't tend to do. So this comes up a lot in my coaching work. In last year's Mastermind Evolve, as I worked through or taught through each of the 7 pillars of an ideal practice, one of the pillars is about the concept of process. That is the systems, habits, boundaries, all those kinds of things that you put in place to help your business run more smoothly and more easily, and with hopefully a little less of you involved. And the one around process was the biggie. This was actually one of the ones that was sort of a sleeper to me. Like I was surprised actually at what a reaction this got out of folks because it turned out everybody was really struggling with this in ways that I had not expected. Well, this made me think about a few years ago when I had a client fly in to do a VIP day with me. I don't do as many of these anymore, but I used to do these fairly often, and I would have folks fly in from around the country to spend one full day with me on site with a flip chart, lots of markers, a whiteboard, lots of creative energy, and some serious brainstorming. And we would work together on a project or projects for a full day in their business. It was very intense. It was always a lot of fun. At the end of the day, people left feeling really tired, but with their mind kind of going boom, because there was so much good stuff that they were ready to do next in their practice. Well, this particular person, the project we had identified to work on that day, among others, but our primary goal for the day, was to map out a series of email templates that she could use to respond to inquiries about her work. She was a really popular therapist. She worked in an unusual area of psychotherapy, and so she had a pretty distinct niche. So her phone was ringing off the wall all the time. She got phone calls and emails from people wanting to know all the things like, do you take my insurance? Can you see me and my boyfriend? Can you see people on Saturdays by any chance? Any chance you could fit us in this week? We're in trouble. All the things that people tend to ask. Well, that was fine. She was able to manage that usually, but she actually went on a 2-week vacation. Yay for her, as you should be doing. Yes, at least once a year, if not 2 or 3 times. But when she checked her emails, when she came back from that 2-week vacation, the sheer volume had been overwhelming. And it's so easy to sort of shut down, right, when that happens. The sheer thought of wading through all of those emails one at a time, writing one response after another, was exhausting. Like, how was she ever going to get through all that? Well, she needed a system. A coach that I used to work with would say, wherever there is stress, there is a lack of habits, systems, or boundaries. Wherever there is stress, there is a lack of habits, systems, or boundaries. You wouldn't believe how often I think about that because every time I run into where I find myself thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? It's like, well, I need a better system and I let my boundaries slip there, or I had a habit in place and I've let it go. No wonder I'm having trouble, right? So that's something I want you to think about. Wherever there is stress, there is a lack of habits, systems, or boundaries. What I want to share with you is that better systems mean better service for your clients, especially, but also for you. Now, as you hear me telling this story about a therapist who was overwhelmed with inquiries about her business, you might think, goodness gracious, what does she have to complain about? How great it is to have your phone ringing off the hook and your inbox filled with people who want to hire you, right? Well, when you're starting a business and you're just getting your first few clients, yeah, that's true. But when things take off and you've got more than you can manage, it becomes a different matter entirely. And I know that a lot of you, even if you're brand new to practice, you experienced this during the pandemic. Almost anybody who offered any kind of a healing modality, not just therapy, but lots of things, were completely overwhelmed because the need was so great. So even more importantly, to get this kind of stuff in place. But good service to your clients has to be a habit. Even when your business is booming, the pace is fast, and the demand is high. Getting a system in place, having your infrastructure solid, will make that habit easier to maintain. So the way I like to think about it, I teach this a couple of different ways. I have a whole different version of a client's journey that I teach inside of Evolve that is more looking at it from a marketing perspective. But today I want to talk to you about this from a systems perspective. I want you to design or think about the systems that you have in place, or maybe don't but should, around your client's journey. So when a client buys something from you, and buys means hires you, pays you for a service, right? Asks you for help and says, I'm ready to come in. Whether you're a massage therapist or a physical therapist or a Reiki practitioner, or you offer yoga classes, or you're a personal trainer or a life coach, whatever it is you do, when someone buys from you, you have entered a whole new level of your relationship, right? Yeah, of course. The minute they say, I want to see you, I'm willing to pay you. Yeah, many of you think that's when the relationship starts, but that's not true. That relationship began way before that moment. In fact, it's funny how often I come back to the number 7, but this is just the way my brain works. There are at least 7 stages that I can identify across the life cycle of a client's work with you. And systems will make your business or help your business run more smoothly for each one of those. So I just kind of want to talk through these today. The truth is, I could spend an entire day on this. I could do a full day workshop on this, maybe a whole weekend on this, where we could sort of look at how you've got this set up in your own practice. But I just want to talk it through and see if I can't give you some things to think about as you evaluate the health or the strength of this in your own practice. Do you have these in place? So the first stage I want to talk about is that of encountering. When they encounter you, when a potential client first becomes aware of you, you may or may not know about them. This could be they see you on Facebook or Instagram, or a friend recommended you to them, or they heard your podcast, or they saw an ad that you ran somewhere about a service that you're providing. Whatever it is, it's when a potential client or customer first becomes aware of you. This is the encounter phase of your relationship. They have just encountered you, your brand, your presence, your vibe for the first time ever. Well, so what kind of systems, if any, do you have in place to attract, reach out to, and connect with potential prospects, potential clients, people who might need your services? There is a pool of people out there who are all within your ideal client range. They're the kind of folks you love to work with. They're the kind of people who can pay you for what you do. They're the kind of people who value what you do. They're the kind of people that you wish you had an entire calendar full of, right? Well, how are you connecting with those people before you actually meet them? Do you have a blog, a YouTube channel, an email system, something that you are writing or publishing? Are you putting something on social media in some kind of a regular way? Do you have any kind of a system where you are sending out letters or emails to colleagues, referral sources, nonprofits, faith communities, other services in your area that are aligned with what you do, but maybe don't do exactly what you do, but serve the same audience. What are you doing to market, to promote, to get your services out in front of people who might want to know about you? Do you have a system in place for that? So systems in this encounter phase could be something like once a week you sit down and write 7 social media posts that then you or your assistant, you got a VA, will post on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn for you. It could be that you have an email template that every time you meet somebody new at a coffee, at a chamber event, at a professional conference, and somebody you like that you kind of want to connect with, you come back home and you pull that template up, you put their name at the top of it, you tweak the opening sentence, and you send it to them. Maybe you don't just have one template, maybe you have 2 or 3. As I talked about way back in an episode I don't remember the number of, but where I told you about how to handle networking like a ninja. I'll have to go find that. Maybe there's that, right? I don't know. All right. What systems do you have in place for connecting to, engaging with, attracting your ideal clients and the referral sources who will send them to you? That's stage 1 to think about. So the second stage is inquire. So encounter, then inquire. At this stage, a potential client establishes contact and they express an interest in what you do. It may be a program you offer. It may be a course that you've got. It may be your services that you do. I don't know what it is. This is kind of like that first glance across a crowded room. All right. It's full of potential. They're just sticking their toe in the water. Well, what do you do with this phase and how do you do it? For example, do you have a standardized way to respond to an inquiry? So the standardized way, for example, I literally have stored little clips of standardized emails that answer the key questions I get all the time about my counseling work. And when someone calls or sends me an email with any of the more common questions that we all get, I open up my swipe file in Trello. I pull up the card that has counseling inquiries. I pick the text that fits what I need, and I go pop it into an email, tweak it a little bit to make it fit that exact situation, and I send it off. I am not starting from scratch. I have a system for that. I have one of my standardized emails is I will say, go check out my website. Here's the address. And you will find there a video where I've answered a lot of the more common questions that people have. And I tell them, check out that video, see if you like it, see if it resonates for you. And if you like what you hear, here's what you do next. It's very clear. My email is very clear. Go watch this video, then do this. I tell them how to sign up for a first visit. I tell them where to find that, how to schedule it, and they take it from there. I often don't even talk to them until the first time they come in. Easy peasy for everybody. Stage 3 is intake. So we've gone from encounter, where they first find out about you, to inquire, where they want to talk to you, to intake. Well, here things are warming up. Your prospect, your potential client, has taken a step closer towards working with you. Now, this is going to look different in different types of practices, okay? But it is often the first paid or structured interaction that they have with you. This is the part where you conduct an assessment, where you make a site visit, maybe you create a proposal, maybe you offer a special consult. It could be something you offer for free. I hope it's not. I hope you offer it for a fee. I will tell you again as an example in my own counseling work. I just told you what I do with an inquiry. I tell them to go watch this video. And then I say, if you like it, go schedule a deep dive consult. That's what I call my first visit on the counseling side. I tell them where to find that on the website. They read about it. They click a link. They schedule it themselves. They pay for it right then. I get an email telling me they've done that. They get an email telling them that they're on my calendar. And then we have an automated system for what happens after that. I'll come back to that in a minute. But that is all set up automatic as part of my system. What do you do? What systems do you have in place that basically set up your offer and how you're going to deliver that at this stage? Okay, stage 4, you taking notes? Stage 4 is the enroll phase. All right, so congratulations, because if the relationship gets to this point, this is when things are moving along nicely. This is when a potential client, a prospect, a possibility becomes an actual client. They like what they saw, they like what they heard, they like what they experienced during that initial phase or phases of your relationship, and they're ready to buy. So what do you do now? Well, for example, I just told you that I send people to that video, and then I tell them in the video, and I also put this in the email, how to sign up for a first visit if they want that. And I told you that when they sign up, they do that all themselves. I am not a part of it. It's all automated online. They pay for it right then. That's automated. And then we have a system where it is triggered that my assistant will send them the paperwork. I don't do the client portal. I know a lot of you all do. That's a perfectly fine way of doing this. I have my assistant send them the paperwork, which they fill out and get back to me before their first visit. All of that is automated. I have nothing. I don't touch any of it, y'all. So that's the enrollment phase. So what do? Do you have a system in place for collecting important information, getting all the right signatures in place, getting legal documents signed that you may need to have signed, setting up payment, and making all of it easy and seamless for the client and for you? That is all part of stage 4. That's the system you need there to enroll them. Okay, so we've gone from encountering you to inquiring about your services to managing some kind of an intake with you, and now they are ready to enroll. They are ready to do the work. Yay! Yay for you. Well, now we move into the engagement phase of the work. The truth is, y'all, every single one of these stages of a client relationship is important, really, every single stage. But this is actually the one where it's easiest to drop the ball. There's so much excitement about getting a client in the door. We don't always necessarily make the most of that relationship once the service is up and running. And I don't mean that you're not doing what you're supposed to do or you're not providing quality care. I don't mean that. I mean that there are other ways to make this relationship even more solid. Have you ever heard about a business make a promise about service after the sale? Well, it's easy to drop the ball here because sometimes there is no service after the sale. And yet, this is when some of the best things happen with your clients. So let's say someone is like, all right, I'm ready to engage. I'm going to come in and see you. They come and they complete that first visit, whatever that's like. That's often a doozy for people because they're checking you out. They're really nervous about seeing you. They've got a lot to share, or they're hopeful and also sort of hoping against hope that you can actually help them because they've had so many difficult experiences or frustrating experiences in the past. I mean, people come to us not because things are going great, but because things are not. And so there's a lot riding on that when they come. Well, once they are in the door with you and you meet them and you do that initial phase, what kind of systems do you have in place after that for creating engagement, for building excitement, for celebrating their decision, for delivering on your promise, maybe for tracking progress or celebrating milestones along the way? Do you have anything like that? You know, I actually, as I'm saying this, I don't know that I have that necessarily in my counseling side, other than I might send out an email after that first visit, tell them how much I enjoyed meeting with them, reiterating whatever I said to them about why I feel like there is something to be hopeful about and we are going to do some good work together, and how much I'm looking forward to getting to work with them. I might send something like that out. I don't have that as automated or as standardized. On the coaching side, I do have various ways that I do that, but not so much on the counseling side, I will admit. And yet, this is a place, y'all, where systems would help you. I'll tell you one thing I do have. I send out I only do it once a month because that's all I've got room for at this point. But I send out once a month a newsletter to all of my counseling clients that is designed to inspire them in some way, to engage them in some way, to remind them about the work that we're doing in some way, and to stay connected with them, right? That is something that I'm doing. That's part of the engagement phase. That's something that I do to stay connected. And that's with a baby practice. I don't see 25 people a week anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. But even now, even with a small practice, I'm still doing that to stay engaged with my clients. So that's stage 5, engage. Stage 6 is wrapping up. We're not done yet. This is the length of time that you're involved with a client will vary widely depending upon the type of work that you do and the service that you are providing. This relationship may last a few hours. Maybe they're just coming to a VIP day like I do, or a one-day workshop with you, or a women's retreat, or a couples workshop of some sort. So maybe your relationship is just a few hours long or a day or two, but it may also be a few years long. No matter, there will be a wrap-up or a closing phase sooner or later. In some cases, it might be wrapping up a particular project or a particular service, like a workshop. In some cases, it may be that they return periodically, that they come every so often, like a maintenance kind of level of service. In others, it might be a really we really are wrapping up. You have completed the work that they came to you for, and you are sending them on their merry way, right? No matter what, the need is the same. Do you have some kind of a system in place for perhaps summarizing or highlighting the work that you've done together? Do you have a system in place for making sure that all their payments are in place and complete, that all the paperwork is filed? Do you have a system in place for sending a thank you or for capturing and storing testimonials? Yeah. So even here, as you're closing things down, there are lots of places where a system is going to make it even better. And then the final stage, stage 7, is the follow-up. You're going to want a system in place for staying in touch, even after the work is finished. Because y'all, you know this, the cycle begins all over again. Literally, we could go back through these same 7 phases again after you finish with somebody. Back to encounter, back to inquire, back to enroll, back to engage. It takes a lot less energy, y'all, over time to keep a satisfied client or customer than it does to recruit a new one. So staying in touch with some in some way is often a way that will lead to repeat business to clients that you see off and on over a lifetime, really. And having a system for tracking those touch points can make a big difference. So my newsletter is one of those ways that I stay in touch. It can also be that you send out birthday cards or Christmas cards. It could be that you just put on your calendar that every 3 months you're going to send them a handwritten note and just say, I've been thinking about you. Hope you're doing well. Right? Doesn't matter what it is. The point is that you have some kind of a system in place, a habit, a boundary, a structure for following up with people, even when they're done. So my point is this. You will waste less time, spend less energy, make fewer mistakes, miss fewer opportunities, make more money, and better serve your clients when you have systems in place for each and every phase of your relationship with your peeps. Now, if that sounds a little overwhelming, I get that. Getting that kind of structure in place is one of the most common reasons that people reach out to me, honestly. But y'all, the more you can do this, the easier your life is going to be. I'm just saying. So start here. Start by making a list of those 7 stages. Let me read them to you again. All right. So the first one was to encounter, when somebody just encounters you, learns about your business and your program, your service. Stage 2 was to inquire. They want to know more about what you do and how you do it. Stage 3 is intake. They are reaching out for a connection and you are ready to move forward. Stage 4 is enroll. They like what happened in that last phase and they are ready to go forward. They want to work with you. So how do we get started? Stage 5 is to engage. That's the work itself. Stage 6 is to wrap up. You are bringing things to a close in some way. And stage 7 is to follow up. Just write those down and map them out in your business and think about what they look like right now. What happens first? What happens next after that? What happens after that? Where are the stress points? Where are balls getting dropped? Where is it annoying? Where do you find yourself kind of rolling your eyes that you have to do this again? And then out of that, what could be automated? What could be repeated? What could be turned into a template? What could you hand off to somebody else, like a VA? So what could be delegated, automated, eliminated? Maybe there's something you're doing that you don't need to do. Look at those kinds of things and just take one at a time. And if it's overwhelming, take the easiest one. What's the one that's just a little problem? It's just kind of a minor problem. Let's fix that first. Maybe that will encourage you to keep going. All right? So I will tell you that woman, the person I'm talking about that flew in to work with me, we did indeed. We spent the morning doing something else, but we spent the afternoon coming up with a template system for all of her emails, for how she could answer very standardized inquiries. We did it with email because that's the way she wanted to do it. You could do the same thing with video. You could do the same thing with FAQs on your website. You could do the same thing with an autoresponder that goes out when someone clicks on a link on your on your page. Like there's so many different ways to do it. We did get that done for her, and it was, we literally sat side by side with her computer open and started figuring out emails. It's that kind of grunt work that I don't want to do this. But once you do that, and it was so much easier, of course, doing it together, at the end of the day, she was like, all right, I got a plan. This is going to work. And I know it helped. So where can you do that for yourself? Think about that. Let me know if you need help with anything in particular. I always want to send you back to the IP360. This is the scorecard that I have available that will help you sort of look at your business as a whole and will help you sort of overview. It's a really quick self-assessment tool that will help you evaluate the foundation of your practice as a whole, where you can look at each of the 7 pillars of an ideal practice, and it will show you where some of the areas are that need a little bit of help. You might want to try that. Go to wendypittsreeves.com/360, 360, the numbers 360, and you can download that for free. Check that out as well. And that's what I got for you this week. Have a great week, everybody, and I will see you right back here next week on Ideal Practice. Bye now. Hey, y'all. If this program has become important to you, if Ideal Practice matters, it would mean so much to me if you'd be willing to take just a minute to do 1 or 2 of the following things. First of all, would you follow or subscribe to the show here at Ideal Practice? Following me helps you because you'll never miss an episode, but it helps me as well for all kinds of reasons. To do that, all you have to do is go to the show page for Ideal Practice on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. There, just click on the plus sign that you'll usually find in the top right-hand corner, or click on the word follow that you're going to find somewhere there on that page. Of all the things, this really is the most important thing you can do for the podcast itself. While you're there, it would be extra special if you would be willing to give me a 5-star rating, and even better than that, a review with your own words. Your words matter. And when you write what you feel, what you think, you uplift and encourage others. And I love that. If you want to go a step further than that, take your favorite episode or 2, one of the ones that has meant a lot to you, and share it with a friend. Could you do 1 or 2 of those things for me? I promise I will love you forever. You guys matter to me, and I value your support more than I can possibly say. Thank you, sweet friend, for anything you can do to help me out and support the show. I'll see you again soon.